see.
Okay.
It's any good. Wow, phew, hooray, Shakeyburns. Back in business. So,
Back in time.
back in time. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what do we have today? No.
That's Polish.
Okay. So what we
You don't have Polish.
have today?
So is it Polish?
No. Chinese.
China?
But it was translated by an Englishman, so it's alright to have a look at it.
Yeah, because it looks English to me, doesn't it? Chinese
Yeah.
to me.
Because it's translated by an Englishman into English.
Oh! He translated it to English.
Oh, imagine. So the big question is, if we take pains to translate something from as weird a culture, as queer a language as Chinese, and why do we want to do it? Because it's something universal then.
Because it's something what?
Universal.
Because
if it makes us want to translate, it means it's not only true for one culture, one language. If we want to translate it, and if people read it and reread it and discuss it, then there is some nothing that is more than just Chinese. So let's have a look at it. A chill and harsh year draws to its close, which is kind of what we have now.
Yeah.
Okay. Tao Yuanming, translated by Arthur Welly. Chill and harsh the year draws to its close. In my cotton dress I seek sunlight on the porch. In the southern orchard all the leaves are gone. In the north garden rotting boughs lie hid. I empty my cup and I drink it down to the dregs. I look towards the kitchen, but no smoke rises. Poems and books lie piled beside my chair, but the light is going, I shall not have time to read them. My life here is not like the agony in Jen, but often I have to bear bitter reproaches. Let me then remember to calm my heart's distress, that the sage of old were often in thy cave. Ah, very nice. Does it arise any feelings as you read it, or is it just something alien?
No, it's never.
So how do we feel it?
The peculiar thing about this poem is that it's not a poem. It looks like a philosophical essay, treatise, something that you can basically write, not line by line as it's printed here, but as a single piece of prose. And then you can also discuss it not only as poetry but as prose, as a piece of philosophy or something, and it makes clear references to
Philosophy.
To philosophy.
Yeah, because that's what often happens in
poetry.
And in Chinese poetry specifically.
Okay.
Because, well, in old philosophy, in old literature in general, you used to write all of it like poems in Greece, Rome, China. It's like, if you want to talk about something serious, then you're supposed to do it in a nice form of poetry. And
probably they thought that form was not eminent to the meaning, that a beautiful form somehow
that's how
entails...
the Greek put it. That's how the Greek put it. It's like the meaning philosophy is like bitter medicine. So what do you do to make the sick person drink his bitter medicine? What they did, they put a bit of honey on the cup, So as the person drinks it, it's sweet. He thinks it's sweet because the cup is with a bit of honey. So they say poetry is like that bit of honey on your cup. It makes you read it. And then you drink your bitter medicine, which is the meaning.
And then you drink your poison, and yeah.
It's not poison, it's medicine.
Well, poisons can be used for medical purposes.
Well, that's another question.
That's another question. An interesting question about this poem is that it sort of, if you read something philosophical, an essay by Michel Montaigne, it often begins with something routine. He might begin by describing his daily activities, which later help him to proceed to something, to sort of startling discoveries which are philosophical. So maybe that's also what this...
But is it just ordinary daily routine? Why is he talking about these things? It's not without a reason. So what he talks about in his poetry, so we have another poem more like for reference here, Shady, shady the wood in front of the hall. Okay. And maybe we'll read it, maybe not. But what he says in his poems, he describes his very quiet life in small places where you have very few people, and they're not like, intelligent people who only read books. It's not like literati. No, it's just simple peasants. And he says, I'm happy here. It's so quiet. Maybe you can hear a dog barking, or maybe you can see a horse or going through the village once a month. Well, that's about it. And I'm happy here. Because how do we look? How do we feel about it, living in Moscow? Or do we like the idea of living in a tiny little place where you don't have theaters, you don't have computers, you don't have
cameras?
Is it all?
It says zap.
Zap it is zap it.
Zap. It zaps.
Zap. Okay. You don't have clever people around to talk about philosophy. All you have is nature, peasants,
and someone thinks that there are clever people in Moscow to talk about philosophy.
So how do we feel about it? Would we like to go and live in such a place? How about moving? Not just living like for summer, like I'm gonna have a holiday and then back, but live for good.
So it's not about summer retreat, it's about spending the rest of your life there. I don't know. That's what many people say they want to. Often, but they never do. Often, when you look around and you see these beautiful things around you everywhere in Moscow, you want to, never again. This and this and this is something I never want to come back to. And then you go to the village. Or then you say you want to go to the village. 2 weeks later, I'm bored. Where's my theater? Where's my cinema? Where's my high-speed internet? Why do I need to chop the wood to warm my house? To heat my house? So a compromise, I think many people find. Some people find a simple compromise. They say, okay, so I spent part of my week here in Moscow and I spend the rest of my week somewhere in the country. Some people find a better compromise. They say, I spent part of my week living in Moscow, the rest of my week complaining about life in Moscow and thinking about moving to the countryside. Here is, he gives us an example of living in a really tiny, quiet place, right? And he's happy about it. So he says... Is he happy? He's happy. Okay.
Okay, because he has yet.
Maybe I should sit here.
Maybe we should just record the back of your head. Okay. So let's have a look at the second poem then. Shady, shady.
Shady, shady, the wood in front of the hall.
At midsummer, full of calm shadows, the south wind follows summer's train. With its eddying puffs, it blows open my coat. I'm free from ties, I can live a life of retirement. When I rise from sleep, I play with books and harp. It's not really harp, it's a thing. The lettuce in the garden still grows moist. Of last year's grain there's always plenty left. Self-support should maintain strict limits. More than enough is not what I want. I grind millet and make good wine. When the wine is heated, I pour it out for myself. My little children are playing at my side. Learning to talk, they babble and form sounds. These things have made me happy again. I forget my lost cup of office. Distant, distant I gaze at the white clouds. With a deep yearning I think of the sage of antiquity. So I was kind of looking at these poems and what shall we discuss? Because they're both so good.
Yes.
Well, let's start with the first one. Maybe. So chill and harsh the year draws to its close.
Yeah. And it's not something about. You can say he's happy. He's feeling happy. If you're having a chill and harsh year, then you're not very happy. But the good thing about the year is that it's slowly drawing to a close.
So what is this year that draws to its close?
Is it not something like 365, 66 days that we spend?
Or maybe it's life.
Yeah, maybe it's somebody's life.
Maybe it's somebody's life.
Yeah. So as we begin reading it, we might think it's about our experience. Very often, again, people living in Moscow, maybe people living in Beijing, complain of having a very difficult year, of having had to go through a very difficult year.
Maybe it's just a life. He said, my life was chill. It was harsh. Now it's drawing to its close.
And I'm happy.
Now I'm old. I know my life has been difficult.
Yeah.
But
I'm happy because it's going to
sunlight on the porch.
So he's not happy because he's going to die soon.
He doesn't say that.
He doesn't say that. He's not happy about his death. He's just happy about
it's having... It's just a fact. Here, it's a fact. Like, chill and harsh the year draws to its close. That's a fact. And his reaction to it is, in my cotton dress, I seek sunlight on the porch.
Yeah. Again, we can take it literally. Imagining the man.
And we should take it literally, because if his name is Tao, like Tao, then it's all about nature. It's about natural person. A free natural person, that's what it's about. So you do go out of the house. So what we have here, again, an image of reality, where we have, I see sunlight on the porch, means we have a house, but it's somewhere off screen. We don't see it. We see the porch. The porch means there is a house, but we are outside. So we have inside, outside, a house, a building, a man-made, and outside sunlight. Again, I'm not seeking fire, I'm not making fire, I'm seeking sunlight. This great light of wisdom, maybe. I go outside in my cotton dress. So if it's chill and harsh, how do you feel in your cotton dress?
You feel cold.
Maybe a bit cold. I'm active, I'm seeking. I'm looking for it. It's not just like, oh, maybe it will come to me, maybe not. I'm looking for it and activating it on the porch. In the southern orchard, all the leaves are gone. In the north garden, rotten boughs lie heaped.
Okay, again. This looks like a nice description of autumn. Two orchards, two gardens, one in the south, one in the north. All the leaves are gone. So you look outside, you see all the leaves are gone. It's already somewhere, sometime in November. And then we look somewhere and we see all those houses that lie heaped.
So what happens here? We have a division. We have
north and south.
North and south. We have up and down. We have sky and earth. Actually, because if I'm not wrong in my feng shui, then south means sky and north means earth. And then, if you talk about the southern orchard, then you say all the leaves are gone. Means they fly away. You look up to look at them, and they're away. And again, it's nothing. Again, like last time, think nothing. They're gone. No leaves. And then we have the north, where we have rotten boughs lying heaped on the ground. It's a heap, a material heap. It's on the ground. It's lying heaped.
Stationary.
It's down. It's stationary. So immediately, the southern orchard, the north garden, we have this idea of a dual world. Yeah, we have two realities, which are very much the same. They're connected. They're natural.
Okay.
They're both gardens, orchard and a garden. But one is airy, another is earthy.
And he is seeking sunlight up there in the sky.
But then the porch, it might be somewhere in between the two gardens.
An entry to somewhere.
It's like if you look at.
I can see you.
Okay.
It says 2 minutes 30 seconds, and that's it.
Really? Is it changing?
It's very polite.
Okay.
It's
well, anyway.
It's what good upbringing means.
Well, anyway, what you have in traditional like Chinese paintings, again reflecting the idea of the universe, is you have hard, you have fluid, or you have rock, you have mountain, and also you have third, which is man. Man is connecting earth and sky. So here maybe the porch is that man-made structure where he is sitting. So that represents the man in between earth and the sky. And as he looks there, you look south, all is empty. You look north, all is rotting. Maybe, I don't know, is it happy? Is it not very happy?
But these things, something may be rotting, because later on it's going to produce something. So you
we don't see it here.
You leave something to produce.
No,
so
we don't see it here. We don't see it here. So
don't we expect it to happen?
We don't expect it to happen. We have the idea of coming to an end. Even although it's inside this circle time of like year, seasons, still we're at this lower point, if we can say up and down about it. So the year is horrible and it's about to end. The orchard, the garden are also at the end. We don't know if they will be back. We don't know. And then I empty my cup, I drink it down to the dregs. Again, the idea of coming to an end, of emptiness, absence. So that's very important here, because as you come closer to the end, what do you have? Nothing. I empty my cup. Again, I do it. I bring emptiness. I drink it down to the dregs, so that nothing is left. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I bring this emptiness. So again, what is my cup that I drink? Maybe my destiny, maybe my life again.
Yeah, and I want to drink it down to the dregs. I want to have. I don't want anything to be left out.
And again, if we want to come to that a space of nothing, then we also participate in it. Like, that's clear, that's clear. Now, how about my cup? Oh, it's not clear yet. I need to do something about it. And then again, I look towards the kitchen, but no smoke rises. The same idea of absence. Of coldness. So, do we often see it in poetry? I look to the kitchen, but no smoke rises. Oops.
Well, kitchen doesn't often feature in poetry, to be sure. And I'm sorry.
So why do we need kitchen here?
Kitchen means fire, sort of something that's typical for a nice and warm house, family members getting together, life, generations, children playing somewhere around. And even all those family meals also part, I don't know whether it's typical for China, but in some cultures at least you're supposed to have these family gatherings where everyone gets together, and it's not something that happens in the poem. It's cold, no smoke,
no smoke,
no breakfast,
no fire,
nothing.
no fire. So first we have like water, now we have fire, and they both come to an end. The elements are running out, the elements. And also what happens, it's like we see him, then we look south, we look north. Again, interestingly, because in Western culture we would rather look left and right.
Yeah.
Here it's south and north. Then we focus on him again. We see his cup, which is a small thing, and he empties it. Then we have a bit broader picture. We see him looking at the kitchen, and we see that the kitchen is also empty. It's the same as his cup, only a bit bigger. The kitchen and cup is the same. Yeah, so the kitchen is the heart of the house. Yeah?
Yeah.
Or the liver of the house. Okay, let's say it's the heart of the house. And it's cold, no smoke rises. Again, it all becomes quiet. And as you mentioned, it means that he's alone in this place, apparently. Poems and books lie piled beside my chair.
Okay, a picture that's easy to imagine. You can clearly picture it. Poems and books, a typical poet, a typical book reader who prefers reading lots of books, and they pile and pile, huge piles. But obviously the meaning goes far beyond what it says here. It's not about trying to read too much, it's about the light that is going...
No, just look at this.
Okay. Poems and books lie piled beside my chair. Okay, so
we had something else that was lying piled.
Yeah, heaps of something. Yeah, rotting.
So a heap of books, he says, is really not very different from a heap of rotting boughs in some sense. In what sense? Maybe because a book is only a book. It's not. Well, it is real as you read it, but you have a real life around you. Yeah. So as you look at the book, yeah, it's good, it's nice, but only if you don't have any real life. If you have a real interesting life, you wouldn't be sitting here discussing poems. You wouldn't be sitting here reading anything, because you would have your life as a poem. Your life would be like a novel, like a book. Then why would you need books? You only need books because you lack something, you're looking for it. That's what, apparently what he says. Poems and books lie piled beside my chair. And again, it's like, yeah, I can read, I love reading, I'm literati. One of them are care. So, is it our typical approach to books that, let them lie on the ground, I don't care? Is it our normal reaction to a pile of books on the ground?
Well, our normal reaction with pile of books is, you come into somebody's place and you see piles of books lying around and you say, oh, he must be a smart person. He reads lots of books and he's planning to read more. That's obviously not what's going to happen here. So what happens here is like they lie piled kind of because
the same as erupting bowels. So he says, poems are good, books are good, but there's something more interesting going on in real life.
Does he say that?
Maybe. The light is going. I shall not have time to read them. So if you...
3 minutes and a half.
Okay, then we should pause it for a second, since you're leaving. So you're playing Gandalf today.
Who's that?
You? Are you I don't know, an elf? Maybe. Right.
I thought they were supposed to be invisible, tiny creatures who only
That's later invention. The thing about the elves is that apparently they used to be either like, let's say, a nation, people, and then you had another civilization coming. So first you just have remembrance of those great rulers, or magic rulers, who are really cool and amazing. Then you have next civilization coming and they tell you, no, they're nasty, horrible creatures, they steal children. Then you have Christianity.
Which wasn't true.
Well, who knows, maybe it was true. But that was kind of the main point now. Like, I don't know, the ones before us, they're bad. They steal children, they eat children, they will trick you into horrible things. Then you have Christianity. And they say, you believe in the elfic people. You say the elves are bad, nasty people. But that won't do, because we don't want you to believe in them at all. Because if you believe in horrible elves, then you're emotionally very much connected with them. You're investing in them, you're thinking of them, and we don't want you to do that. We want you to think about Christ and hell and heaven. So what we say, no, they're not horrible, scary children eaters. They are tiny, happy creatures who live in flowers and they drink flower dew, and that's just rubbish for children. And that's how you kill it. You say they're tiny, friendly, kusiki pusiki. Oh, well, you do have nice and friendly flower fairies, nicey fairies, tea fairies. Oh, that again is a bit different. Well, who knows? Anyway. So, we have this emptiness spreading and this decay progressing. And what he says here, the light is going, I shall not have time to read them. Again, he might be referring to the day, time of the day, he might be referring to his life. Like, my life is going, I shall not have time to read them. So, that's again a question. If you know you're going to die sooner or later, then do you want to spend your time on reading books? Do you have time to read books? Or do you have time to live?
It depends on what your life is. If you want to know something about the world around you. How do you do it? Do you investigate it? Do you try to touch it? Do you try to go and travel somewhere? Can you really investigate whether the Earth is flat and there's water all around? It's personally by exploring it.
Or
no, you
just
can't.
to
All
read-
you open up a book and you read it. You read something in
And
the
then
book.
you read 10,000 books and
then you think
they
you
all
know
say
something.
different things. You
And-
think you know something,
Yeah.
you know nothing. You know what you read.
Or there's another thing now you can do. Instead of reading books, you can write. You can be writing books. And again, if you think your life is drawing to its close, you might be willing to invest, again that's a very capitalistic word, to invest your time and effort into writing something, writing the book, the major book that tells
And then again, do
everything
you care?
you know.
Do you care? Do you not care? I don't have time to read them. My life here is not like the agony in Jen. Confucius was maltreated in Jen. So that is a direct reference to philosophy. He says like, well, I'm as great as Confucius. That's what he says, because he compares himself, his life with life of Confucius. Yeah.
If you compare somebody's life to the line of Confucius, it doesn't mean that you are as great. You say, he was a great man. In comparison to him, I'm just a little flowery, fairy thing.
And he says, my life here is not like the agony in Jen. He says, well, of course, that great man, he suffered more than me, but you know, that doesn't really counsel my problems here. And my life here is not like Confucius. It means he connects himself with the sages of antiquity. He puts himself in the same paradigm, in the same line with them. And maybe it's not like the agony in Jen. Maybe I'm not as great as Confucius, but I'm still in the same company.
Agony is also something great. If I'm not something like Confucius, if not just as great, I can't really use these important words about my own life. It's not agony, it's just something compared to what great people used to have in the days of antiquity.
But often I have to bear bitter reproaches. So it's like, well, maybe it wasn't as horrible as with Confucius. Maybe they didn't beat me and sent me away with shame and all that stuff. But still, you know, I have to bear bitter reproaches too.
Yeah.
So in my way,
the word
I'm not
reproach, isn't it interesting? Talking about all these opposites in poetry. You approach something and you are reproached, the opposite. There's something or somebody that gives you a kick.
So this whole poem is full of kind of unhappy images. So the year is chill and harsh and it's drawing to its close. The leaves are gone, the boughs are rotting, the cup is empty, the kitchen is cold. Poems just lie piled and I don't have time for them. And maybe it's not as horrible as the agony in Jen, but I have to bear.
But the word agony is very is a very
so we still have the idea of agony. And then to kind of counterbalance it, what can you do? If you're surrounded by this decay, then how do you cheer yourself up? You say, let me then remember to calm my heart's distress. The sages of old were often in like caves, like me.
It's bad, but it's not that bad because other people who were probably better than I am were experiencing same issues, were going through things which were probably much more terrible than what I'm going through.
It's like, you know, what is it?
Don't tell it. Don't tell it.
Okay, won't tell it.
55 seconds.
55 seconds, yeah. Just restart it.
And let it start.
Well,
Yeah, that was, you know, there was a slogan printed during one of his filming. They wanted to reset relationship with other countries, including Russia. But somebody translated the word reset by saying it was not perizagruska, it was perigruska.
reset. It's like switch it off completely and then turn it on again.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Anyway, what happens here is like...
There's no reset. Instead, he says, well, I can't redo my life. I can't switch it off.
He doesn't say that. He doesn't think of that.
Because he says that
hard distress, let me remember that the sages of old were often in like case. So
yes.
if you follow the sages in this chill and harsh side, then you follow them on the bright side too. Yeah, it's like they say, some people say, come on, Jesus was eating meat, so what's the point of being vegetarians? Or what's his name? Shiva was smoking or some funny things, and it means we can smoke it too. To which the reply is, yeah, but Jesus also went on the cross, and Shiva drank an ocean of poison. So if you want to follow them, then follow them in that too. And here, it's like, if you want to be with the sages, then you need to follow them in all, not just in a good, happy, clever, soulful things, but also in the unhappy side.
Yeah. A thing you mentioned.
If you are ready to find yourself in between two decays and two nothingnesses, then you're welcome. And you work toward that. You empty your cup, but at the same time, you start with saying that you're looking for sunlight. You're searching for sunlight. Means even though you find yourself in this place, and it is kind of intentional, the idea is still that because I seek sunlight is the only positive image here, so we focus on it inevitably.
But that's a question. Does the poem leave you with an impression of sheer unhappiness, dissatisfaction with life, or rather, does it leave you, as you've read it, leave you with an impression of something full of light, full of poetry, full of philosophy, wisdom, something? I think the latter is the case. Then all these negative images in the poem strangely serve to produce light, to produce sort of insights that could have never been possible without them. So you couldn't be a wise person unless you are ready to go through all those things that the sages of old were going through.
And then again, it's your response to it. It does not matter in the least what are your circumstances, good or bad. It's how you react to it. So he doesn't say, oh, it's also horrible, I'm so unhappy. He says, oh, I know it's horrible, but it just makes me think, feel like I'm in the same boat with all those sages. So it's cool, good.
Yeah, I always like the boat with metaphor because you always think about a sinking boat.
Do you? Maybe you do.
Yeah.
Maybe you do.
Yeah.
In my cotton dress, I think
Of course, and that's, I think, a question that's been debated hot in a way. Maybe not hot because you remembered ancient Greeks.
Yes.
And ancient Greeks
Had ancient colors.
Ancient. Yeah. I'm looking like someone from ancient
Okay,
Greece.
yeah, you could be from Rome, maybe.
Well, but that's probably the same thing. Greece, Rome, who knows?
Oh, some
Difference.
people say that never happened.
It
Some
never
people
happened. It
say
never
it
happened.
never went away. Some people say we still live in the Roman Empire, and I tend to agree with them, actually. Oh, but that's not the point.
No, that's not the point. My point was that some philosophers in ancient Rome, stoic
Drink a
philosophers,
cup of poison.
that was in ancient Greece. That was someone named Socrates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the dregs.
To the dregs, yeah. And but that's not the point. The point is that you might say, okay, so that's how life is, and your philosophical attitude to life is to be more or less happy or unhappy, to be more or less sort of to rise above it, to rise above the circumstances, to somehow rise above the crowd. And that's what they call philosophy, and that's probably your stoic attitude to life. But sometimes people say, okay, that's stoic attitudes, that's the ideal, but there's something cold about it. There's something inhuman about it.
Well,
You suffer, or you see other people suffer, and
Yeah, well, anyway.
and you.
Hello.
Hello.
And you sort of say, okay, well, that's how life is.
Well,
Everybody has
that's not really
suffered.
stoic. It's not really the stoic.
It's not really the stoic, yeah, but again,
It's a bit distorted as you describe it. Well, no, anyway, what we have here is like, yeah, I know, it's chill, it's harsh. But it doesn't make me cry, shed bitter tears, say, oh, I wish I was somewhere else. No, it makes you feel like you're in the same company with the sages. And maybe it's an essential part of being a sage. Maybe. Can you be a happy sage? I think you can, but maybe not here. So if you can only be with the sages if you have the guts to come to this very edge and to look over it, or the edge of all that you like, all that you want, all that you enjoy. If you're able to come to this very edge and look over it, then perhaps you will see nothing very interesting. Maybe. Okay. Phew. We should stop it here. And have a look at the second poem. Okay, let's have a look. Let's look at poem 2. Yeah? What does it say?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Mine says 4. Oh, okay. Shady, shady the wood in front of the hall, at midsummer full of calm shadows.
The south wind follows summer stream.
With its edging past it blows open my coat. I'm free from ties and can live a life of retirement. When I rise from sleep, I play with books and sing. The lettuce in the garden still grows moist. Of last year's grain there's always plenty left. Self-support should maintain strict limits. More than enough is not what I want. I grind millet, I make good wine. When the wine is heated, I pour it out for myself. My little children are playing at my side. Learning to talk, they babble unformed sounds. These things have made me happy again, and I forget my lost cup of office. Distant, distant I gaze at the white clouds. With a deep yearning I think of the sage of antiquity. So, in some respects it's not unlike the first poem. In some other respects it's a bit different. So how is it the same, how is it different? Is it same or different?
It's happening somewhere in the countryside, which is similar to poem 1. Another thing which is a bit similar is reference to the sages of old, the sages of antiquity. Again, maybe in the Chinese text, these words were and still are absolutely identical, and it was the translator's decision to say the sages of old, the sages of antiquity. Basically, they mean the same to us. Also, in all of these descriptions that sort of let us imagine this place, the place with a porch.
Yes.
In poem 1, and the place, and gardens in poem 1, and gardens with letters in poem 2. In other respects, though, the description differs radically from poem. In poem 2, the description differs radically compared to poem 1. He's absolutely alone in poem 1. Children appear in poem 2.
And it's autumn.
And it's autumn in poem 1.
Or even winter.
Yeah.
Autumn or winter in poem 1. And here it's midsummer. It's the highest point of the year. The happiest point. So basically in these two poems we have the whole picture. We have the lowest point, which is a chill and harsh year draws to its close, and the highest point, which is midsummer full of calm shadows. The lonely, deserted, decaying, and the happy, light, warm, full of life. But the conclusion is the same in both cases. Whether I'm unhappy down here or whether I'm happy up here, it just makes me think of the sages of antiquity. So shady, shady, the wood in front of the hall of the house. So we start with again with the images of the wood and the hall or the house. And the hall is here, the wood is in front of it, and it's shady. So what is it? Again, it's a home is where we feel comfortable. It's our little castle. And we have the wood, which is wild, which is full of shadows. And again, what are those shadows? What is this wood? It's something we don't understand, but we enjoy it. So here, the wood...
And like exploring it.
It's good because it's a calm shadows and because it's a midsummer. So it's hot, and the having a forest is good because it reduces its heat. Yeah.
Another interesting thing that the wood is located right
in front
of your hall, in front of your house.
But then again, full of calm shadows, a midsummer full of cold shadows. It's a little bit like inner mapping, when you think like, okay, the hall is like my mind, my thinking mind, yeah, like a house or a skull, is full of calm thoughts. And still, we know that it's just this one little space, but all around it there's this big forest full of shadows. Interesting. And midsummer, of course, is an important point in the year, turning point. The south wind follows summer's train, so the south again, the wind, south wind, like, again, if I'm not mistaken, and south is like sky, then the south wind is this heavenly wind, a good wind, maybe a wind of wisdom or something.
And the south wind in the summer, maybe the south wind in the winter also, are warm winds. They bring...
Yeah, very nice. And follow summer's train, midsummer, summer's train. So I have no idea what it says in the Chinese original, because I have seen a Russian translation, and it's a bit different in words, though it's same in meaning. So I don't know what words he used in the Chinese original. Maybe you can learn a bit of Chinese over the weekend and tell me. But here we just work with what we have. If we have this poem and we read it and we have a response to it, we respond to it, that means it's working. That's all we need to know. We don't need to know the original, because what makes us alive, what makes us respond, is this specific particular text. So that's what we have here. The south wind follows summer's train. So again, we have summer, we have... when we say summer, we imagine light and warmth just by saying summer. So we contrast it. We don't need to say, oh, there's so much light in the summer. We just say summer, it has light inside it.
Yeah.
So we contrast it with shadows. And now we have the south wind. And what is wind?
Wind means change.
Change, freedom.
Freedom, dynamics.
Flexibility.
Flexibility. It often means, again, if we need movement, then we have wind, and we have summer's train.
And
again,
if you
train
talk about
means
soft
movement.
shadows, then you have wind, because that's how you have the shadows moving in a forest with the wind, maybe. So the south wind is like heavy freedom, and with this eddying puffs. Again, I don't know if he had the word like eddying in the original, but like, again, not straight eddying. It blows open my coat. So again, my coat is something that I close, like closing.
Yeah.
Strict. And this
protective.
is something protective. The wind is something natural. There's a life force.
Yes,
is there any life force in the camera?
Not enough flexibility, man. Not enough. Yeah, it's going to be alive for 30 more seconds, but yes. Okay,
so it's this life force which is which you can't resist, which all your build-up closedness and restriction and toughness can't resist. It blows open my coat, so it touches you. There's this contact. It's not just blowing somewhere in the forest. It comes to me, it touches me. In that way, I'm one with the wind. I'm as free as the wind. I let it blow open my coat. I want it. I don't mind. With the edging past, it blows open my coat. And again, it's this feeling of freedom coming to you.
Yeah.
I'm free from ties. I can live a life of retirement. Who can say that? How many people can truly say that and mean it? I'm free from all ties. I can live a life of retirement. So again, that's the same as saying, I'm like wind, I'm free of ties. Nobody can tie the wind.
Yeah, so it's It also means self-sufficiency.
So we have wind and freedom.
Let's see if they close the
door. Close the door. Do you mind closing the door?
Yes,
no.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
They do mind.
No, they don't. Yes, they do. No, they don't. Yes, they do. No, they don't. Why does nobody close this bloody door? I mean, we're sitting here just in front of the front door. Nobody cares to close it. Ooh, chill and harsh. Can be quite easily.
Do you want this?
No. Can be quite easily avoided if people just close the door behind them. No. Why would they? Well, anyway, I'm free from ties like the wind, the south wind. Can live a life of retirement. So who can say it? Who can enjoy it? Who can really be it? When I rise from sleep, so what do you do? Oh, you know, have a good sleep, wake up in the morning. I don't have anywhere to rush, I don't have anywhere to go. Yeah? When I rise from sleep, resting, I play with books and might sing. Not harp, sing. Books and sing means that he is a very intelligent person, because only a very intelligent person could have, well, what they call harp or lute, but which is more like, what do they call it, zither. Anyway, it's a musical instrument which is very significant in Chinese culture. Oh, no, that's how you play it. That's how you play it. So the idea is that this instrument, the music of this instrument, harmonizes the universe. You play music on this instrument, and all reality comes to harmony. The first emperor was playing this instrument to balance China, basically, which means all reality, because for the Chinese, China is all reality. Yeah, it's very, very deep. And to mention it, it's not like just, well, you know, play some music. It has a very deep meaning behind it. Same as I play with my books. I read with books. I read books. I play with books. I mean, he has books. He's interested in books. He's an intelligent person. He's not a peasant who is just a lazy person who wakes up in the morning and then does something in the garden. No, it means he's a very intelligent person. And he says you can be an intelligent person. Like in the first poem, he also mentions having lots of books. And again, it's not a coincidence. That is to show that he is an intelligent person, and still he enjoys his quiet life. Same here. I play with books and harp, and you can only play sing if you're at peace with yourself. That's the idea. It helps to balance yourself, and it helps balance all the universe around you as you play it. I play with books and sing. Then from all these clever, intelligent books and musical instruments, which only the intelligence could have, because for one thing they were very expensive, and for another thing it was hard to find a teacher. Well, lots of literati had the instrument, but they had no idea how to play it. It was like, oh, I have it on my wall, means I'm intelligent. I don't know how to play it, but that's not the point. I have it on my wall in my library. Here, he knows how to play it. It means he can feel it. He knows it. Also, there were like rules which said that you can't have this instrument, you can't play this instrument if you're not intelligent enough. Yeah, and you can't play this instrument if you have a person near who is not intelligent enough. if you have a rude, noisy person who knows nothing about music, don't play.
That
Go away
explains
from
why
it.
you are not playing it now.
Ah, do you want me to bring it here next time? Well, I think it's a bit cold in here to play it.
You can't play it if you have a rude, unintelligent person sitting opposite you.
Yeah. Well, you can't play it when it's cold, because it's a very delicate instrument. Well, and then suddenly, no, not suddenly, okay, suddenly, from all these clever, intelligent books and music, you come to lettuce in the garden. Why? How? Why would you do it? Without any bridge in between, just straight from books and clever music-y thingy, divine music, to dirt, to earth, to lettuce, to your garden.
Because
Lettuce in the garden
also
still grows
careful
moist.
that it's not just the person who lives up there in the clouds. It's the person who
Works.
And
Works
who
on the
finds
ground.
on the ground and who finds pleasure in working on the ground.
Who takes care in looking at it. It's not just, well, I have some lettuce growing there, you know, but lettuce.
But again,
is
if
still
you are a
always-
very aristocratic person who plays this musical instrument and who reads books, you probably don't know letters from, I don't know.
Well, you probably do know
Parsley.
it, but you don't want to
You don't
dirty
want
your
to-
hands by
yeah.
going to work in the garden.
Yeah, that's not
Here
what
it says.
Here he says. The letter,
Finally.
grows moist, and
Last year's grain, there's always
grain, there's
plenty left.
always plenty left. Again,
A
you can always
practical remark.
you can say it's pretty practical. So I'm rich enough. There's always enough grain, and grain is an important practical thing, but also an important symbol because it's bread is made of grain, and bread.
So what is last year's grain, of which there is always plenty left? Maybe it's something apart from literal grain.
Yeah, apart from literal grain, there's always something.
Maybe it's something that we build up, our knowledge, experience. We still use it.
Yeah,
from the
obviously.
past.
Yeah, obviously. And I have some fresh ideas in my head. The lettuce still grows moist. It's not something dry.
It's not last year's.
It's not last
It's
year.
fresh.
Yeah, but last year's grain means also something nice because I was thoughtful enough to have some grain, something
Grain.
Yeah,
Of last year brain, there's always plenty left. Oh dear, you need a brain massage now. Okay, you're a good brain. I'm reading a horrible book on brain. It's very interesting, but it's that size, and every page is like lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of horrible. It's really interesting before your brain starting to boil. It's good. It's good. It's called The Master and His Emissary, or The Divided Brain. Very good. So of last year's brain, there's always plenty left. Okay. So like we say, it also means that he doesn't eat all that he grows in one go. He's careful. He knows what he can do, and when he should restrict himself.
And he probably experiences the same problem, which is not probably a problem at all. He reads books, he thinks thoughts, and he always knows that it's not enough to get rid of.
Yeah.
It closes automatically. He knows that it's not enough to give it a thought and forget about it. He always gets back to these original ideas. Again, a true philosopher usually tries to point his existing knowledge in something new. So it's...
Oh, you know all about true philosophers. Right, and then again, it's like, oh, poetry, talking about my domestic life, and then self-support should maintain strict limits. A very dogmatic saying. Yeah, right in the middle. I guess probably it's really just in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so that's in the middle. So it means, apparently, it means that it's important because it's in the middle, and because it's not so poetic, but just telling you what to do. Self-support should maintain strict limits. So do you agree?
Yeah. Plenty of last year's grain in the
Only
previous line.
plenty because you know your limits.
Yeah, you know your limits, and you don't want more grain than is just enough for you.
Yeah, more than enough is not what I want. Again, it's a very interesting, amazing idea of the Chinese philosophy, which says, okay, we have our 5 senses, 6, 7, 10. We have our senses, but what usually happens is that they are overloaded. So if you look at the picture, you have all those colors, hitting you. So no, what you should do, you should go to the black and white images. Then you can feel all the nuances. You can feel all these fine details. Or it's like you have music, and you have lots of sounds coming to you from all directions. Oh, it makes you confused. Your hearing is overloaded. Now, what you do is you listen to like a sing, which is like and each sound becomes important. Every little sound. So if you listen to like a concert of classical music with an orchestra, you don't pay attention to every sound. You may not even hear every sound. You listen to the impression of all sounds. But here he says no. What do? You take this music where you have one sound, then another sound, then another sound. Then each sound becomes very big and important and juicy. And the same with food, the same with everything. So self-support should maintain strict limits. More than enough is not what I want. Okay, speaking of sounds, if you pardon me. So do we like this idea of limitation?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. He says it's like clearing yourself, clearing your senses. It's the same as if you want to clear your taste. Then what you're supposed to do, I don't know, I never tried it, but what I say what you should do is you only drink water for a day, and then you don't have any like spicy food or salty food or sugary food for a while, and then you start feeling it. Your taste renews, and suddenly you can taste all those little tastes. So more than enough is not what I want.
That's not what our civilization usually tells us. We are told that there's never enough.
Yeah,
and
more
new things, more and more, and it's all about new things. The reality is though that many of those new things are not really new. But
Yeah.
we still, as you mentioned, it's true for food. If your taste is not renewed, you can't probably distinguish all those small nuances.
Well, as there was one British TV series, Black's Book, I think, about a bookshop keeper called Black and his friends, and one of them, or maybe it was him, well anyway, he was drinking a lot and smoking a lot, and then they're like, oh, you can't do it, you don't even taste the food that you're eating. What you're eating right now? And he says like, well, I'm eating a nice cookie. He says, no, it's the thing on which you put your cup. So that's what happens. He says, no, more than enough is not what I want. Self-support should maintain strict limits. And it's not a new idea. We have it everywhere. All those ascetic living people in monasteries, in seclusion. Well, it's not new. And he says, I'm not a monk. I don't live in a monastery. I'm not talking about religion here. I play with books. I play music. I sleep all I like, I work a bit in my garden, but still I know my limits and I follow it. So my life is clean, my life is strict, my life is strong. Is it strong? Okay. I green mill it, I make good wine. You know, like the green for the mill. Again, it might be practical and just I make my wine. I don't need to go to the village to buy it. All I have is that I made. I made it myself.
I'm self-sufficient.
At the same time, maybe it's like I green mill it, like I'm thinking, I'm grinding my experience, and I make good wine. Because what is wine in all those Eastern traditions and all this Eastern poetry? Wine is wisdom. Every time they talk about drinking wine, then in most cases they talk about drinking wisdom. So I make my wisdom, my good wisdom, by grinding my experience and make good wine. When the wine is heated, I pour it out for myself. Lovely. It's so lovely. It's like he is so self-sufficient. He just makes wine, he pours it out for himself.
And he drinks it.
And he drinks it.
Himself.
When the wine is heated, now it's not just wine, it's hot wine. So it's wisdom, which is hot wisdom. It's really cool. And then he just drinks it. My wisdom. I pour it out for myself. I don't need a pretty servant to pour it out for me. There, master. No, I just did myself, no problem. My little children are playing at my side. So that's this big contrast between the first poem where the kitchen is cold and all, and here where you have my little children, not just one child, but lots of children, and little children are playing at my side. So it's happy, it's playful. It's all playful. He plays music, his children play games near him. Hooray! So as long as you're on the languageable side, you say nothing. You can only, or rather, all you say is thing, which is a limited perception of not what is around us. You say, oh, that's a chair, that's a cup.
Yeah, that's a chair.
That's a chair, that's a, I don't know, a cow, a boat. It's not a table. It's you who make it into a table. It's your perception. But how can you say the truth? Words fail when you come to what is not what is real. Then words fail you. He has another poem, and it's like, I have a peach tree and a plum tree growing near my house, and I see birds flying around, and all of that is significant, but as you try to talk about it, words fail you. So same as here. all you can do is babble unformed sounds, and there would be more truth in it. Speaking realistically, there will be more truth in babbling unformed sounds than in reading poetry. Because poetry, words, any words, will be limited. Unformed sounds are closer to the unlanguageable, closer to the truth. And it's that unformed which we can't quite grasp, but which we always feel being present around us, which makes us frantic, which makes us grab for what we can grab. Things, tea. These things have made me happy again, and I forget my lost cup of office. So it's like in the very end of describing his happy life here in the countryside, he says, well, actually, you know, I used to be a prime minister, but oops, just lost it. That's a problem. Yeah, so we again bring this contrast. We keep this swaying. On one hand, he's intelligent. On the other hand, he doesn't mind working in the garden. Then he enjoys living in the village, living a quiet life. At the same time, he is not a simple person. He used to be a minister, had a cup of office. But again, he's not upset about it. Maybe he was upset a bit because he says happy again and I forget my lost cup of office. And he says that balances, that's worth it. And then when he comes to this kind of main point, I forget my lost cup of office, because that one line counterbalances the rest of the poem. So what is more important, the cup of office or all that we have
with
here?
All its troubles and all the practical things that are probably less interesting and less relevant to leading one's life than growing lettuce in one's own garden, or playing with the children, or with the books, or playing this musical instrument.
Well, it's about that big, so if you open your hands, it should be comfortable to play it. It's not that big, that wouldn't be comfortable. Oh, maybe if you play it like here, then maybe it's a bit here, and a bit here.
Do they also have, you know, if you have a typical Western instrument of that size, probably violin, and there are lots of things that experts know about violins. Some of them are beautiful, some of them are very beautiful. So do they also, when they make these instruments, do they also invest their energies
Of course they do.
into making it as beautiful as possible?
Of course they do. Because that instrument, it represents universal harmony. So it's like all the measurements are important, all the parts have their special names. It's all important, of course, and apart from being a great musical instrument, they're also...
It's made of wood.
Made of wood, also very beautiful. They often, if you see one of those instruments, then from above it looks very plain. Just maybe black, maybe brown, or sometimes they make it green. Like dark green, but yeah, well, because you have you're supposed to have a very thick layer of covering to make it sound better. But if you turn it over, you look at the down part, this bottom part, that's where you should be looking, because there you would have all those carvings and inscriptions, sometimes pictures. And it's only down there, so nobody can see it while you're playing it. That's very, very... Again, it's a part of this philosophy. What you have, you don't show it to everyone. You keep it hidden. You show it to people you trust or the people you want to show. You don't show it to everyone. Same in England with the English houses, because what we have is you have this a row of houses, and if you walk along the street, all you see is front of the house. They all, well, I wouldn't say that exactly the same, could be pretty much the same, but what you can't see from the street is the backyard. And that can be anything at all, it can be as crazy as anything, but you can't see it from the street. You have to go through the house to see it. So it's the same idea. Old China and modern England, no difference. Okay.
Yeah, bringing us back to the porch.
Yeah. These things have made me happy again. I forget my lost cup of office. Distant, distant I gaze at the white clouds. It's like, ah, okay, I have said it. Phew. Now I can... no, nothing.
Who's distant?
Just
am I distant, or are the clouds distant?
Or both.
Or both.
So why is he looking at clouds? Maybe because some of the sages and some entities were famous for riding the clouds. Yeah, so you can use a bird to fly on it, or you can use a cloud to fly on it. So maybe he looks at distant white clouds and he's distant, his thoughts are far away, because he's thinking, maybe someday I will ride one of those clouds too. With a deep yearning, I think of the sages of antiquity. So who cares about the cap of office when you can be one with the sages of antiquity? That's deep. Okay. Anything else? No. Okay, then let's stop here. Hooray! 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 Chill and harsh the year draws to its close. Chill and harsh the discussion draws to its close.